And we're going to a secret location. Actually, it's just down the road. And the owner has said that there's this little old ute, old truck, that we can have if we can get it running. It's a quick will it run video.
No, she's free.
Oh, beautiful.
She's free.
Oh, what about a sun visor?
What about the sun visor?
Hang on, let's hey! We have a win. Hey! Hey! Ready to go? Yep, kick her up. Woohoo! Gary, that answers the first question. Will it run? Yes, it runs.
Yes, it runs.
Now let's see if we can get it to drive. All that power. The brakes work.
It goes and stops.
It goes. I think we can drive this home, Gary.
I think so.
You can maybe follow me?
No, I might go in front just in case.
In case I can't stop.
In case you go and stop, that way at least I get home.
Good thing at 99. We're going to have to do something with this. You got any ideas, Gary? Pondering.
I think we can come up with something, Jim.
Yeah, g'day guys, welcome to the channel. If you want to make yourself a little tipper out of an old shitbox ute, this is going to be the video for you. Yeah, so this is the old Triton that I've been given if I could get it started, and I've done that. I got it here, and I got to say it's not a bad old beast. It sat down in the paddock here for about 2 years, so now it's its turn to get a bit of a, not a makeover, but you know, it's going to get some work done to it. So we're going to do a few little things, and I'd like to try and put some sort of a tray or a body on the back so I can drive it around the property, put a tow bar on it, and all sorts of other little interesting things. I'll just tow it up the hill a bit and I'll roll it down into the shed, so it'll go down into my new section of the shed. Those who have been following along the channel for a while know that I do all the work generally in there with the hoist, where the hoist is located. But now, because I've got, well, you can just see them around the side there, all the shipping containers. I did a big storage. The link for the video is down the bottom for the massive storage upgrade. Anyway, this clears out my shed. It was chockers in here with pallet racking and shelves, and there's still a bit of pallet racking in here, but I got heaps of room here now. How awesome is this? And it's all lockable, like the big huge swing door and a little roll door just here. And I've got a gantry above my head there. I've had that in there forever, and I just haven't really been able to utilize it. So without this trolley in the way and that stuff, I can roll a car in here and lift the motor out with it if I want to, or the engine crane, whatever. But it's a huge big area, so I'll roll the old Trilux down into here. Hopefully I don't crash. I'll just pull it up the hill with the tractor, and we'll get it way up the hill there, and I'll just roll it down here and see if I can crash. Hopefully not. Anyway, I'll sit you guys on a tripod, and you can watch the excitement. Bit of a long video, so let's get right into it. Get yourself a snack and a drink, and we'll get into it, eh? Here we go. That never gets old. I nearly made it. It only just fits too, eh? Like, if that pallet racking sort of wasn't like open underneath, wouldn't have made it. I can't quite shut the door, gotta roll it in. Actually, why didn't I just lop off the back end? That'd be the go. Who needs that much? You'll get a bit of exit sort of, what's the word? What do you four drivers call it? I don't know. You help the back end anyway. I will put a tow bar on it, but I might mount it between here and underneath there, and anyway, or maybe a winch bar. But yeah, that end bit's got to be lopped off. The bonnet does have bolts. It's not connected, so I'll make that connected and then work out some sort of a latch for the front. Clean the windows so I can actually see through them. They're pretty gungy. This one's pretty cracked. I won't worry about it. I've got to make this window go up and down a bit easier. It was a bit tricky just there before, but I got it. Because I want to be able to just jump in, turn the key, and go and do something down the property if I need to. That's the whole purpose of this build. Not elaborate, not fancy. It's not a big four-wheel drive channel, so it's more about just having a bit of fun and working with what you got. And this is what I got. So it is four-wheel drive, does have locking hubs, has high-low range, all that fancy stuff. I don't know, it'll be a really short tray if I put one on there or make one. Make one. It's just got to be reliable and something I can use around the place to pick up parts from the other end of the property. If you're expecting a big fancy looking four-wheel drive after the end of this video, you may as well just turn it off. Like if you're expecting a big fancy four-wheel drive sort of style polished video, that's you know, the great four-wheel drives, can't be too bad. Like, I mean, they're still making them. They make a shit ton of them. Anyway, independent front suspension isn't that good for to get serious, but anyway, it'll do. Maybe I'll weld the front diff. I'm pretty sure the rear is a limited slip, so we've got good chances of it being quite capable if I can get some clearance out of it. It's got torsion bar on the front. I could probably wind them up. Any other ideas, guys? Just let me know. Leave us a comment on what I could do to this if I don't, but I think it will be relatively capable. It'll have toolboxes on it, have a big winch on it, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, let's not get too fancy. Let's just make this thing run and drive around the paddock and make it so I can use it. Anyway, let's get right into it. Okay, so I've got a bit of a list. Just a few things that I need to do to make it sort of drivable-ish, reliable enough to jump in and start. Turnkey sort of thing. First thing on the thing is the fuel tank, and then I'll probably fiddle with the bonnet, fuel pump, because then I can actually get to the pump. Anyway, so I'll fiddle with a couple of those things and work my way down the list and go from there. So that there's a big list of stuff, and see what I can do. Let's get through them, eh? Here we go. Okay, so I've got the hose off, that one right there, and it looks pretty clean inside. It's sort of hard to tell, trying to get a torch in there at the same time. And I took the what's-he off, what do you call it, where the sender unit goes, and it's like half full of diesel, and you can see the bottom crystal clear, no rust or anything, so it looks pretty good. So I'm happy with that. So all I'll do is try and hook up the rest of it, like hook it all the way up to the front, and I feel comfortable that we'd be right to run on that fuel. So it's good to go. I just got to hook her up and we should be right. And I got to work out some way of filling it without like reliably. Anyway, leave it with me. Latch works. Here's the goer. Even got a perfect gap at the back. Oh man. The sides, they're pretty good too. I wonder if I can open the bonnet. Here we go. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, just got to apologise for the lack of lighting. Like, I have the big doors open at the minute, and there is a couple of fluoros. You can just see them. Hang on. There's a couple of fluoros up there, but they're just fluoros. They're not that good. They're nothing compared to like what I've got in the other side. What I've got on the other side just there. There's the Brumby up there on the hoist, and there's all those oyster lights. Oysters, is that what you call them? Oh no, they're high bay lights. Anyway, I got a big bunch of those, and I've got I think I've got 6 more coming, so I can pop them up in this area here. So, but at the interim, I've got a couple of things ticked off. What else have I got? Oh, I've started the fuel pump. Started the fuel pump situation. There we go. There's a little fuel pump there. Because I can't get the little primer pump to work. It won't pick up. I've drained the sediment canister. Like, there's the fuel filter. There's the canister. Normally it's like a water trap kind of thing. So I've drained it into there, and I've got this end of the hose off before I hook it onto the injector pump. So what I'm going to do is hook up 12 volt to that, and hopefully I can get some fuel to come out of here, and then I'll just stick it straight on the injector pump. We should be right. I'm hoping that it's primed enough. If not, I'll be cracking injector lines and things like that to get it to prime up. In the interim, we have no real water, but it's mud, so that means there was water. In our last video, I'm pretty sure that we topped the water up and it was okay, but maybe it's got a leak somewhere. But that's alright, we'll work through it. And so I'll get this pump powered up, and I've got to do a thermo fan. I've got one just hanging there. I need to have some sort of way to power it more reliably, if that's the right word. It's just hanging there by a bit of wire, which is not real good. So I'll fiddle with that, and we should be sort of getting a bit closer to actually kicking in the belly. We got power steering fluid, everything else is alright. There's one of these lines down here that goes to the booster, the brake booster. See that little line there? So we'll actually have stronger brakes, because on the back of the alternator there, it's got a little pump on the back. It's a bit hard to see, and it's for diesel motors. They're vacuum, so because the motor, you can't rely on a vacuum from the intake manifold, apparently. I don't know why, like a normal petrol engine. So they have these little vacuum pumps on the back of the alternators, or others, electric ones at times. I'll hook one of them up and we should be away, and we might have better brakes. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, we're getting there. See how that way? Just put water on the radiator and we've got a spring a leak in the old gooseneck. And we're going to fix that. Maybe just a bit of JB Weld for now. Yeah, okay, leave it with me. Hopefully this 2-part epoxy will do the job. I don't have any JB Weld as such. The hole sort of grew once I cleaned it off with a wire brush. There we go, problem solved. Okay, got a bit of an update. Finished tidying up the inside as such. Like, I mean, I've vacuumed it out, taken all the gunge out of it, and I've bolted the seats in. A couple of bolts there. So they're all bolted in. They don't quite look right. Maybe they're not the ones for this car. Anyway, they're bolted in, and the interior's tidy enough. And all the windows are cleaned from that brown gunge. The epoxy, 2-part epoxy, has dried. It's nice and hard, and I put the hoses back on, or the hose back on, and we got plenty of water in there. So I won't pressurize the system. I'll just go on the first click so it's loose for the moment, because at the moment I haven't got the thermo fan hooked up. I've got a little air cleaner on there, and I've got to say, it's tiny. Hopefully it's not going to choke it, because that's all I got. It's a The actual intake manifold, it's not a bolt-on flange or anything. It's like a slip-on rubber sort of thing, and it's 58 mil or something or other. But anyway, I'll have to go with that little air filter at the minute. That's just to stop any grit and crap going in there. So the fuel system's all good, I'm hoping. I've got the battery, got the one out of Zombie at the moment, and I'm hoping only to need the fuel pump, the little tiny pump, just to get it primed and started. It should run without it because it normally just draws from the tank, because it doesn't have electric pump or anything. It just draws from the injector pump from the tank. So good to go for a test drive. Actually, I might try and crank it and see if it'll start. I'm not sure if you remember from the last video that we did on this car, it doesn't actually have a dipstick. It's got a bolt in the top of the sump. Really strange. I don't know, maybe because of the way the sump was altered or something or other. But anyway, I put an extra half a litre of oil in there. Hopefully we're not getting too full now. Besides that, we should be right to go. I'll hook this battery on and see if we'll crank. Hopefully we're right. I'll just stick you guys up here, and there we go. We're away. We got more legs. Can you see that? Brakes sort of work. I haven't put that vacuum line on yet. Let's go for a little drive. Oh, we're in low range still. Anyway, come back to you when we're on a road or something. Okay, I went for a drive on my way back. Gonna park it back in the shed. Yeah, got a few little issues. I'm gonna make that. No, hang on. I'll get it in the shed. And the alternator's not charging because I went up to go and see my old mate Gary from AMC Restorations, and it wouldn't restart. It'd crank over just a little bit, but it wasn't enough to fire. And we put a multimeter on it, and it's not charging off the alternator. So I need to work out what the go is. So as soon as we put a jump pack on, straight away. Which I'm surprised, because that's not a little battery. It should have been enough. A few more things to go. As soon as I try and fix that gooseneck thermostat housing one more time. If that's not successful, then I think I'll have to try and buy a new one. Like, I mean, it's only a yard sort of paddock machine, so I was trying to keep the expenses to a minimum. But it looks like I've got to try and work out how to get this alternator to work, if it's not or if it is, and hook up the vacuum for the brakes, because the brakes sort of works, just you got to lean on them a heap, and lop the chassis. Anyway, I might do that chassis chop now, and while this is all cooling, like, I mean, it's not pressurized, so it's just got to let that water drain. So as you can see, we've lost a heap of water. Anyway, little wins. We're getting there. We just want it to run properly when I want it to. Just jump in and turn the key. Anyway, I'll keep fiddling and I'll come back to you. Things you got to do just to make it fit in your shed. Anyway, she's lopped off. Well, I marked it and made it all tidy, so I've just got to run the flappy around it and it'll be nice and neat. And then I can add some sort of a tray thing happening. Might just stick a big chunk of ply on it, because I'm just going to put a toolbox on the front for the moment, just so I can use it as a yard vehicle. Because down the track I might put a tipper on it, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so it's lopped. Now I've just got to try and re-glue this thermostat housing. I don't even know if there's a thermostat in there, but I will give it a scrub with a wire brush and a bit more 2-part epoxy. Hopefully it's going to work, because at the moment it's not. Anyway, one drama at a time. I'll whip up a bit more stuff, see if it works. Anyway, here we go. Well, there's a thermostat in there, but look at the barnacles in there. I think this housing's pretty much stuffed. There's that little hole right there. She's pretty crusty. I'm wondering if the thermostat even opens. Anyway, I'll take it out, give it a clean up, give this a bit of a scratch out and try and glue up that hole. I know it's kind of counterproductive. I probably should just try and buy a new one, but I'm having so much fun just fixing shit. Anyway, I'll glue it up, see what happens. This is what I've scraped out of this old housing, and we've got more holes. There's the little one that we discovered, and there's a couple more. So it's kind of beyond it, but I don't have another one at the moment. I have ordered one, but it'll be a week or two. Anyway, so I'll put a bit more goop on it, and hopefully it just holds water. That's all I want it to do, is just hold water, and then when the new one comes I can swap it out when it springs a leak again. I'll have to make up a gasket for it, because it has a paper gasket on there and this one's all gone. But yeah, I couldn't believe all the like half the housing's missing because of it. Anyway, that's probably because people just put water in them instead of proper coolant. And I've got to say, I'll be doing the same. Anyway, it's only a yard hack. So while I had this thermostat housing off, that I've put 2-part epoxy all over, because I was sick of repairing little holes, I pulled the thermostat out and put it in a bit of hot water and boiling water to make sure it was actually opening, and it certainly has, and looks like it's just about closed back up. It's nearly at room temp again. So got to say that works. Now let's get it back on, and should be able to try and start it maybe. So that's the current lighting, and this is with the new ones. That's heaps better. But right now I can see shit. So let's get on with it. Let's get back to this Triton. Bit of an update on the Trilux. I've done a few things. I've turned it around in the shed because I've finished welding up the tow bar, which was off a Kia or something or other. Anyway, I've ended up using the rest of those parts, you know, the end pieces that... Anyway, I'll show you, hang on. I'm planning to make a front bumper bar. Like, it looks dog ugly, there's no grill or anything, and the headlights do work for some reason. These are the old ends off the tow bar. So I've just bolted it onto where the bumper bar normally bolts onto. I've just had to re-drill 2 holes. And I've got these little ears on the end there, that's fine. So I'll just cut a piece of channel about the right length. We'll be right, cut it off on the old saw and then set it up there. And I'm planning to put a receiver on the front. So I'm probably going to hook it under there somewhere, as long as the pinhole is visible, because I'll put the channel up at this height. It is pretty high, but I've got the leftovers of that piece of channel. I'll put down the bottom here. It won't be as wide as that, but it'll be straight across there and give the lower part of the chassis and the steering rod and sway bar and all that. Utilise the old tow bar, which is good, and a bit of channel. Gonna cut that out, and I've also hooked up the wiring for the thermofan. I've just put a switch on the dash, and oh, hang on, I've chucked a relay in right here. It is really rough, this setup. So the battery's on, and got a switch on the dash. So that all works. Where else was it? Oh, mirrors, yeah. I had to make an adapter plate because the mirrors I had are off some other weird looking thing, and it's this one, because it's on the driver's side, I can swing it sort of in and out if I'm going through a bit of bush or something. It won't be a problem. And the one on the other side, is a relatively slim one, and it won't matter if it gets knocked in or knocked off or whatever if I'm going through the bush. Got a little tow bar here that that'll fit into that receiver, and it also fits into the back. Turned out super tough, so I'm really happy with that. It's a bit shorter off the rear, but I do need to make some sort of a tray body sort of thing. Either a tray back off another old ute, which I've got one, or I can use like an old trailer, a 6x4 steel box trailer, like without all the wheels and everything under it. I just put the tray on the back. Thought, well, it's actually wider because this chassis rail's just over 1,000 wide, 3.5 foot or so, and it's too wide because it would end up rubbing on the inside of the tyre. If I put a bigger tyre on or whatever, it wouldn't work. So had to scrap that idea, and so what I'm going to do is use this material here. It's about 2.5mm Z-bar material. It's like for construction, for walls and sometimes roof battens and things like that. So I'm going to make one out of that. Stick around for that exciting episode. I mean, well, this part of the video. So lots of little things have happened. I'm in the process of doing the front bumper, front receiver, done the mirrors, done the thermofan. Basically a bit of welding to do now. Get this bumper done, sort of a box sort of thing happening. Pretty good for a farm hack, I think. And I might even make it into a tipper. Enough dreams. Let's get this piece of crap, this farm hack, keep you up to speed as things are going. I can't say enough how much I'm enjoying this build because it's a farm hack, property beta, and never going to be registered. Not the plan to. It's just to beat around the bush here, and nothing has to be right. Nothing has to be super secure. Like I want it to not fall apart, but I'm actually really enjoying it. Just slapping shit together. Is that the right word? Because it's not normally what I do, but I'm kind of enjoying this one because of it. Anyway, let's get into making some more poor choices and slap some more shit on it. Let's get into that. too sort of Mad Maxish? Yeah, it is. That's what I like about it. Doesn't quite look like it's in line though. But it doesn't matter. I'm not too worried. Certainly not going to be too far to be a problem out there, I don't think, because the tyre's wider. And I've got the receiver with the hole that I can reach. The hole there. So I've just got to weld that bit of channel on, those bits of channel on, and we got ourselves a front bumper. Anyway, I'll get into welding that and I'll come back to you when it's done. It's a real shitbox, isn't it? Oh, I can't get over how much of a piece of crap it is. Anyway, we can tow stuff front and back, and it's got some durability on the front, and man, it's rough in the middle. Now I've got all the steel here. I'm going to try and make this tray sort of thing happening. And if I do it properly, I can pivot it at the back and do some sort of a tipper type thing happening. Which I'm not sure whether I can't really afford to do a hydraulic setup. That's more than I've got for this budget, but which is pretty much zero, like most of my budgets on builds. So I might have to go to a cable lifting sort of mechanism type thing. I've got a couple of small winches that may do the job. So I've got a little 6x4 trailer that I tow behind my tractor generally, and it has a winch on it with a little A-frame and things like that. I'll show you what it's like. It's actually pretty good. It's just slow going up and slow going down, but it's not like I'll be using it all the time. Yeah, it's just an idea. Anyway, let's tackle this ute tray type thing configuration. Something to put stuff in. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, okay. So let's get the steel cut to some angles and make it all sort of happen. I'll probably have to drag it into the other part of the shed. Oh, there's the Brumby up there. There we go. Anyway, let's get into it. Well, it's sort of sitting there. It's not exactly where it's meant to be, because someone put a cross member right there, right above the wheel. Why would you do that, Jim? Anyway, so I need to move it. So what I might do, instead of just having the 3 across there, plus the back one, I might make it 4. So I'll just had to recalculate. And see, there's an extra mark there. So I'll move it up, and then the next one, and then so there'll be one either side of where the wheel's going to be. So it'll actually sit a bit better, and I know that we won't have wheel issue rubbing the bottom of the tray. It kind of looks like it's not exciting by any means, but it's sort of the similar width of the actual cab, and I'm not going to worry about mudguards or anything silly like that. It's only a paddock sort of bash that's going to have a tipper function. So I guess it's going to be more than that, but anyway, it'll get me out of trouble. So I was thinking of just chucking some of that leftover Those have been following the channel. I've seen the shipping container storage build. I've got plenty of form ply. I bought a couple of pallet loads of it, left all offcuts and everything, so I'll be able to put some pieces in here, and it'll sit on there nicely. It'll sit on this lip, and then just I'll be able to screw it straight through to that. So I've just got to make the rear end sort of part and a big tipper hinge and all sorts like that. So there's a bit of work in that. So I'll make them up on the old lathe. And I've just got to make like a headboard sort of rack. I don't know why I'm going to so much trouble. I should just make it square. But anyway, I'll make something there, and then I've got to make like a A-frame of some kind in there with pulleys on it, so I can use it to lift up this whole bed and it'll be a tipper. So I might, I'm not sure whether I'll mount the winch at the rear or mount the winch under the front. I'll show you the little winch a bit later in the video once I sort of start getting it all together, but it's only a 3,000 pound and it's got a steel cable on it instead of a, what do you call it, synthetic rope. So it'll do the job fine, pull cars out. A little 3,000 pound, it's kind of a bit, yeah, anyway, it's not that strong, but it's certainly strong enough for this job, especially if I do it like with a snatch block at the top, and it'll be double pull. So which is what I'm using on my little tiny tipper trailer, which I was explaining before. It's just a little boat winch. It's nothing exciting. It just lifts up the body that's full of dirt. So if I put dirt in it, which, you know, if I've got it, I'll probably use it, but chances are it'll probably be for firewood and just general stuff around the property. And then try and work out this back piece. I've got to use a big heavy piece of angle across there, so because that's what the hinge point's going to be mounted off. So I'll work all that out and go from there, I guess. Anyways, enough rambling. I will come straight back to you tomorrow. I've done a bit more off camera. I've put the extra bars in. So now if you have a look, we're not right over the wheel with the subframe. What I am thinking of is cutting this back on an angle and plating it. So it'll give it a bit of strength and it won't be an eyesore there. Like you won't see them, which will be nice. And I've added this heavy duty angle all the way across the bottom and put some uprights there. So that was just a bit of offcut. The angle on I had, because you can see the back of it, it's been cut with a plasma. I just used it because it was sitting there. So that's all really durable. Now you can, now this end of the whole tray is solid as, so, and mainly because I needed it pretty solid, because I'm going to be mounting hinges sort of off here for when I make it into a tipper. So now I need to do something with the front half. It needs to be much more secure because it's just flimsy as. All the sheet metal just sort of twists, and because these aren't boxed in sections, they're all hollow at the bottom. So, and this is all only tacked. So I need to put something substantial in the corners and build a rack off the chassis to go up around the window, sort of like a roll bar, but not a roll bar. But the cable will be mounted off it to pull with the winch, if you know what I mean. I'm going to mount the winch back here underneath and put a cable all the way up to there to a pulley. It'll go up to the top of the whatsy bar and then down, and we'll be away. Anyway, bit of mucking around. But the tray certainly started to look like a tray, or a tipper body, or something. Good thing it's just a farm hack. So now, onwards and upwards, I will cut a couple of bits of steel for the front piece and start making it more durable and weld up these bottom pieces, and I might actually take the tray off to do that and do it on the floor. If only I had a crane. Looky there, I got a crane. So I've just got all this crap in the way. Anyway, because it's starting to get a bit heavy, I might need a crane. So I'll just pull it over this way and maybe back it into that door and we'll be right. Okay, so I've got the tray frame thing off the Trilux, and I have tacked on these couple of short bits of 3x3 or 75x75 RHS, and it's only thin wall, which is good. It's similar to the actual material itself, and it's made a huge difference, like with the flex. And I've only just tacked it all on. I've not fully welded anything. With the amount of flex that it doesn't have now. Before, you could pick up this corner and the whole thing would lift right up. I'll just show you how much difference it is. Hang on, I'll just sit a little tripod there. And go like that. Watch this, I just lift this corner and pretty much the whole side lifts up. And if I do the other side, that just lifts up. There's hardly any flex at all, which is bloody amazing. So now I can, I'll flip it over and I will weld all of this stuff up. I'll burn it all in and then I can sit it back on and work out what I'm actually doing for pivoting. I've got a few options with the pins, the pivot pins right at the back here. Hang on, I'll just show you. I've gone and drilled, I had these old steel bosses, and I've drilled and tapped and put a little grease nipple in, and I was going to put them inside these trailer saddles. That wasn't going to be a problem. I just put both of them on one side, if you know what I mean, so it wasn't going to slop around, or try and squitch it together, I don't know, and use this stainless steel rod, which is perfect sort of fit for it. Really, really nice fit. But then I found these old things in my stash, and they're the same sort of thing. They're a trailer sort of brace, and they run a 9/16, which is about 14 mil. And for some reason, whether I did it or not, I already made steel bosses inside there of this tube frame. So what I can do is just take these corners off because they're interfering, is use that as the pivot. Now I know that it's going to be strong enough because my other little tipper trailer, which is a 6x4, which is virtually the same size as the old Triton tray, so I know that it's going to be able to handle the weight. It's not going to bust or anything, so I might use those rather than go to all the fancy trouble of, because the reason I put the grease nipple in there was because I couldn't get the pin in and out once I'd sort of made it. I was just going to cut it and tack weld it to the outside, and anyway. But this way I could actually undo the bolt and it'd be fine. Yeah, that'd be a bonus. I could just take it out and then re-grease it and put it back in there, because it doesn't pivot very far. It'll go like from here to there. That's it. That's as far as it moves. So that wouldn't be a real problem, I don't think. So I'm going to use those. I've just got to do a little bit of clearancing on the edge here so it actually will turn around. I don't know what I was doing with them at the time, but I had them in an old crate, and I will use them instead of going all the trouble of this stuff. Like, this will look nice. This will do the job. It's only a hack. So that's all the whole thing is just a farm hack. Is that what you call them? I don't know. I'm going to call it a farm hack. So anyway, I'll weld this up and sit the tray back on. Well, the tray frame. I'll sit the tray frame back on and try and work out the pivoting, and then work out what I'm going to have for supports, like along the bottom of the body, because normal tipper trucks have like rails all the way along. I'll just have a couple of supports, I think. And then I've got to make up the we call it a headboard here in Australia, a headboard for a work out the winch. Anyway, there's lots of things going on. So I'll get into that, and I'll come back to you when I'm ready to chuck that back on there and work out some stuff. Okay, the underside's done. Excuse the fan, it's bloody hot. I'm trying to blow away all the gal smoke so I can actually breathe later today. So I've tapered all them off, cut them and capped them so they all look pretty tidy. I've done a heap of extra welds hidden away, can't see it in there, but anyway. So everything's all on and fully done on the underside. Now I'll flip it over and finish the last few things on the top side, and then get it on this whole thing here and work out how I'm going to do the hinge points before I do sheeting. Well, I won't do sheeting until I've got the winch mounted, which is going to go there somewhere. Anyway, let's get into it. So how does that look? A little bit higher than the old roof, which is what I wanted. Inch or so. So it sort of serves as a dual purpose. Not only is it where the pulley's going to be to go down to the tray, it's sort of a semi-rollover bar, sort of. Now it's not ideal having a joint in the middle, but I'm about to put a big gusset up the side there, so that won't be as much an issue. And because I've got just bits, I don't really have, you know, lengths of steel laying around, 75 by 75 by quarter, so I just used what I got, and that's all the bits I got, including those couple of pieces that I had on the tray back there. Actually, the whole tray is all out of just bits. There's an old tow bar I had. Everything is just bits. So hopefully people can get the theme. Hopefully you guys can get the theme that I just make stuff out of what I've got. If I've got really good material laying around, I'll use it. If I don't, I'll use what I got. And this is sort of certainly an overkill for what I'm doing with it. You would only need something half that size, but like for a tipper frame for the pulley and everything. But like I said, it's a dual purpose. It's a roll bar potentially. I will put some gussets back to the chassis there. Chassis. And I'm thinking that because it's right in the middle of the vehicle, if you sort of think about it, and there's going to be a fair bit of weight pulling with that winch, pulling this tray up. Because that's happening, I think I'm going to plate the either inside or outside of this area here. Like, it's a box frame, so it's not weak by any sort of means, and it's pretty heavy material, but just to make sure, I might either put something underneath, like as a strap, or plate it on the inside. But I'll get to that later. Just for the moment, I just want to get the functionality side of it all working, and we'll get away. Anyway, I'll burn all that in and put the gussets on, and we'll be ready to put the tray on, see how it starts looking. Okay, how do they look? Sort of going to do the part, I think. The gussets are mainly for the sideways movement, which there shouldn't be any, only if it goes on its lid, which not really planning on doing. Not going to get that wild with it, because, you know, I just don't drive like that. Anyway, I think that part of it's done, other than maybe just capping the end, but I don't know if I will or not. Anyway, so I'll chuck this tray on and see how it sort of sits and fits. Anyway, let's get into that. Okay, I've got it sitting on there again, and I've sort of leveled it up with like the door angle. It's within less than 1 degree of out of correctness, if that makes sense. And I've left a good space at the front here because well, it's only 20 mil, because when it actually tips up, it might get closer. The gap might get that little bit closer, and then it starts getting further and further away when it comes up here. So we should be good there. What else have I done? Oh, so here's the angles, the angle brackets. It's just sort of with a couple of risers and angle, and so there's a piece of angle welded to all the cross members, and then there's a piece of angle sitting on top of the chassis rail. So 2 bits of angle sitting over each other, sort of. The next thing I've done is got these old trailer, that's a trailer hanger for springs, and I've just notched out the duty what there, and just sort of sit in, just give it a wiggle, and we're in, like that one. So that's the hinge point, and I'll just put a gusset along here, something on its edge, to give that bit of extra strength. Anyway, we should have a functioning tipper really soon, so let's get in a bit more welding and nearly there, right on the end strip. Oh yeah. Yeah, baby. Whoops. It works. So, how does that all look? Got all these hinges gusseted enough, I think. Like we're only holding about a ton, like 1,000 kilos of material at the worst on that, and it's got a double shear pin, so I think we'll be alright. All the supports and everything are all done and welded, and as you saw just before, it certainly sits up alright. All welded off. Now, I'm going to move this mess over here so I can utilise the crane above to lift this up while I make all the cable mechanism mounting, and so I feel kind of safe, as much as you know, I don't mind that big plank of timber, that 2B6, I just, man, if it came down, wouldn't be real good. There's nowhere to go. Like, I mean, you get squashed between here if I wasn't crushed underneath here. Just got to be careful, guys, if you're ever doing this. Man, it's, yeah, take every possible precaution. So anyway, I'll turn this vehicle around and back it in over here. I won't back it into this door because there's not enough room between there and the post, so I'll back it in on this angle and utilise the crane. And where are we? There's the crane. So I'll utilise the crane, and then I can work on everything underneath safely. I'll use the piece of timber and the crane to hold it up, and I can go through, cycle it, and work out where I'm putting a pulley at the top there and down the bottom, and a bit of dicking around, but that's what we do when we want things to work. And then I can wire up the winch with this big long, or one of them. I think I might just run one, because I only need a positive from the battery. I can just earth it out onto the body for the rest, for the other side, the negative side. Anyway, so I just wonder if you guys can help me out. Like, I know it's a farm hack, and I've gone overboard with the tray and everything. I've just gone way over the top. It's way more than and structurally sound than I was just going to do a basic little tray with a toolbox. And then I got carried away into we'll sort of do a roll bar thingy, and then I thought, well, why don't I make that into a headboard? And then I thought, let's just make it into a tipper. Anyway, I've gone over the top. It's taken me a couple of days more than I've wanted to, but it's going to be a nice little old farm hack anyway, and I'll utilise the tipper part a lot. So, anyway, I need you guys' help with, do I bother painting the structure? Like, most of it's galvanised steel. I maybe do a bit of zinc paint over the, you know, where the joins are and all the welds are and everything, but I don't know. Just leave us a comment below and tell me whether you think I should bother painting it. It's only going to be around the property here, so I can't see it rusting. Just let me know what you think anyway. Anyway, I'll do a big U-turn and move some of this stuff out of the way, and we'll get into it. Here we go. think I've got it. This drill bit is the same diameter as the wire rip. Just making sure that it doesn't sort of bind up on any surfaces. I think we'll be right. Touches on all surfaces, like it's a curve, not a V. So let's put it into something. Okay, what do you reckon that might be? That's a, well, we won't say what it looks like, but anyway, there's a pulley on the end of that, and the one I just made, and I just made crush tubes inside the big box section there. Goes through the other side with a big compensator plate, but that compensator plate is going to have this extra little pulley, so planning to put it there somewhere, so the cable comes across the top, down that pulley, and then all the way down there somewhere to the middle, because there's been a change of plans on where I was going to mount the winch. I was thinking of way over there and run the cable along and then a pulley at the top and then up. A bit of mucking around, but it would have sort of suited. But I was thinking of just putting it under here. There's enough room between there, and it'll be one less pulley and a whole lot less cable. I'll probably still run that big cable all the way to the back for the rear mount winch, and then I know that that's covered. We're sorted with that. I don't have to worry about that again. So then I won't have to worry about that again by doing two lots, but this one doesn't need as big a cable. Hang on, I'll show you. See, as you can see, this cable is nothing like the one for the big winch. The big winch is like, you know, big car battery terminals, where this is only maybe 50 amp. The other one's like 180 or something, 200 amp cable, where this one's tiny. Anyway, so I can run a much smaller cable, just like I only have to run a red wire, which I could probably run from the starter motor, which kind of sounds funny because it'll be the closest thing. Anyway, back to this. So now I'm going to mount the winch just under there. I have a base plate and everything. All I got to do is sit it underneath there, make sure the cable can actually feed through, and then because it's all bolted on, then I'll just weld this chunk of angle to the underside of that plate. I was thinking about bolting it and doing a crush tube like I did with this one, but it doesn't need to come off really once it's bolted under there. All these little winches, the tiny ones like this, are virtually all the same bolt pattern. If not, I'll just modify this plate at the time, if ever. So anyway, I'll lift this up and put the plank of wood under it, and then mount that winch in the middle, and then I can connect the top. What's he there? And then we'll all be good. Then I can put that last pulley on, run the cable over. Oh, then I've got to mount something under here, like something to there for the cable to hook onto. Anyway, I'll work out that, and we'll be away. Anyway, I'll get this up in the air. Okay, winch is mounted, nice and hidden, can't sort of see it, and two pulleys are done, which is bloody awesome. Now I've just got to make something for it to connect onto the tray here,
if I have it about here somewhere, like I know that's a long way down, but the lower I have this point, the higher the tray's going to lift, if you understand what I mean. And if you don't, well, just watch and you'll learn something. Anyway, I'll make something that just comes off of here, just tack it on and see how it sort of fits. As long as it doesn't get too close to the tail shaft, we should be right, because this does move, the shaft moves up and down, but only slightly at this end. Anyway, I'll find something to put there with a bolt in it and we'll be away.
Yeah, so every now and then you have sometimes you have winds and sometimes you have not winds. But the winch, I've just mounted the little winch and everything, and I've run there's a little control box and everything. I've mounted it under the cab, and then I've ran the power cables from the control box, ones that got to go to the battery. One has to go to negative, so I've just shortened it and put it to ground. Just put it on a little 10mm bolt. It was retaining, I think it was retaining the brake lines that come from the back along the chassis roll. Anyway, there was a little retained bolt there, so I put a little tab on it and put it there. And the positive, you've either got to run it all the way up to the battery terminal, or you got to hook it up to the starter wire, the main battery cable. The cable that comes from the starter, the big heavy one, goes down to the starter because it's closer to the rear of the car, because that's where the winch is. So what I've done is, it's actually quite funny. We're about 6 inches, 150mm, too short. Anyway, so I'll just show you where that little yellow nut is, or the side of the nut. It's that's where the starter, that's where the cable goes from the starter, goes up to the battery terminal. And it's pretty heavy cable, so which is fine. That's the one I'll use. So where that yellow nut is, that's where the starter bolt is. And then if you have a look across to the right, that's where the red cable stops. So it's a bit of a bummer. I'll have to extend it by 150mm, maybe 200mm, just to give me a bit of room. But it's a bit of a pain. Sometimes you win, sometimes you nearly win. So I don't like being negative about too much, but yeah, I nearly won on this one. So it's just a little bit too short. Anyway, I'll keep going. So I'll hook that up, and then I've got a control wire inside the cab. It's got a switch inside the cab for the winch. It's a really cool little unit. Anyway, I'll show you. I've run these wires. They go all the way through there, under the seat, through a grommet, come back out here, through here, and here's the inside one. Is that the light? It's got out and in, so that controls the winch for the tipper mechanism. Now I can just sort of screw it to the old dash here, because I'm not worried about this dash much at all, and that's the fan switch. So if I just put it there, I was thinking about putting it on the other side, you know, in the middle there somewhere. And I thought, well, what if I'm trying to change gears or something, or select reverse, or get to forward, or I'd need two hands on my left-hand side. So if I put it on the right-hand side here somewhere, I can still be holding down the button to make the tipper go down, and I then can still select a gear if need be, because that's what you do in Australia. You drive on the right hand side. Anyway, I'll carry on mounting that, and there's one more wire here I've got to. This one must go to ignition, so it has power to activate it. We're nearly done. There's only a few things to do. Now that I've got all the wiring and so forth done that I wanted to get, and the winch and everything, I could chuck a couple of sheets of ply on here and the tray would be done. Something else I did off camera, I'm not sure if I showed you, was these little gussets under here. It gives that extra bit of support at the front of the tray, so when it I'll show you when the winch is all fully operational, that this bit stays here and the tray just sits on top. So anyway, we're nearly there. Just a couple more things to go, and then we'll be able to go for a test drive and actually put something in the back of this thing. That'd be nice. And test out the tipping function and see how much it can carry. Oh yeah, now we're talking. I've got to fiddle with the brakes, and I might tighten up the torsion bars at the front, like put some tension on them. At the moment, they're really soft. And soft is okay, but I want a little bit more height, a bit more ground clearance if I can. Anyway, let's get into that, and we'll be driving it before you know it. Okay, all the wiring is done, and the little unit in here is mounted. I've just screwed it to the dash. Like, this is a bush beater, a farm beater. It's a beater. Anyway, so I'm not worried about putting a screw in the dash. I've also made an adapter to go from the large Anderson to the small one, because I have a few other attachments that I have, like the tractor. My little tractor has the 50 amp Anderson, and this is the first time I'm using the larger one, the 175, so I can actually just connect it into here, and then I've got to use the little one if need be. Okay, anyway, so the wiring's all done. Let's test out the up down function sort of thing. So not only have I got that control there, which is easy, it also comes with a wireless one, which is really handy. So I think you just turn this button on here. Yeah, we got light. In. Woo! I don't know why it's intermittent like that, but the little light flashes, so maybe the batteries in this are a bit average. Anyway, because it doesn't, when I used it just before, I used that one and it didn't go. So you can sort of see now what I was talking about by adding this little leg on, and I've gusseted it and everything to give me that extra little bit of height. Because if you look at the angle, it's not too bad. Like, I'm thinking that'll certainly offload a big pile of dirt, get it out in the dirt. So I'm really happy with that. And the winch sits perfectly in there. And also I cut these little tiny pads. All it is a side out of a oil bottle. You know, like the 5 litre, gallon jugs of plastic bottles. I just cut the side out of it and I put a bit along there, so when it comes down, it just sits right on top. That's really annoying, that. Anyway, I will rarely be using the wireless one. I'll be using the in-cab one. So anyway, so that's the purpose of those. They're just a bit of plastic out of the side of an old oil bottle, and they work perfectly. Okay, so I've done that. I've also mounted the other big Anderson plug just there and run cables all the way around to the terminals as required. I've just got this battery on charge, and it's just about charged. The little green light's coming on. Mainly because this alternator doesn't throw a charge at the moment. I've done a little bit of research online, and it kind of makes perfectly good sense, because the plug's not even in. Now the funny side is, so this is a 2-pin plug, and hang on, let me turn the light on. And the alternator has a 3-pin in there, so I guess that's why the guy who converted the Toyota into the Mitsubishi didn't make it to happen, because it don't fit. So what I'm going to do is work out which one of these two is the ignition wire, because I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't know. And a quick little lesson on alternators. So with alternators, they're Do you remember when you were a kid and you had a little push bike and it had a light on it, and it had a little dynamo on it, like a little generator that runs on the wheel and goes zzz, 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 and it was really hard to pedal. Anyway, that was a magnetic fielded generator. You could nearly call it an alternator. Anyway, it charged the power to the light. Anyway, with an alternator, it has, instead of having magnets, it has windings, like copper wire windings, instead of the magnets. Now you need to power that copper winding to make it a magnet. So for an alternator to charge, to throw charge, those windings need to be magnetized. They need to be a magnet as such to throw a charge. So you've got to put power into an alternator to get power out of an alternator. I know it sounds strange. There's a few other things inside alternators, the stators and diodes, like one-way diodes. And anyway, I won't go into the depth of it because I'm not an electrician. I don't know that much about it, but I just know that if you find the ignition, IG, wire coming out of the alternator, you can still plug your main wire in, which I think is the B wire. Anyway, just the bigger, heavier cable comes out of your alternator, goes across to your battery. You can hook that one up, that's no trouble, but you got to find the ignition. Now, this being a 3-pin plug, one will be for a light on the dash, maybe. One will be the ignition, and I'm not sure what the other one is, signal or something. Anyway, so I've got to connect it to the IG. So I'll work out which one of these two wires from the original Mitsubishi harness is the ignition, like put a multimeter on it, turning the ignition on and off and things like that, and work out which one is the power feed. So then I'll just plug it into the one, because there's an easy way of doing it to find out which one is on the alternator. Is you find which is your replacement. You find a replacement alternator on like eBay or Amazon or whoever or Spares Box or anyone else like that, and in their listing they'll generally have a wiring breakdown of what the 3 pins are for, or the 2 pins, depends on what your alternator is. So you find which ones are which, and you just take a screenshot of that. You make sure you got the right alternator, and then you can go from there. So you can pretty much put any alternator in any car, depending on whether you want the lights, the dash light or not. Doesn't really matter to me, as long as I know that it's charging. That's all that matters. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll just test that, and I'll plug it in, and hopefully we'll have charge. So let's try that. So I've got the battery hooked up, and I've got the wire over here that comes from that alternator, the IG alternator terminal. Anyway, so the battery by itself, 13.2. Now I'll just go and start it without this connected. Hopefully the wire doesn't get tangled or messed up. So I'll just go and start it, and then we'll check the voltage again, and then I'll hold the thing to the power and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's the right one. So that's what it is without this. Let's see if it changes and actually pushes the charge. Oh, come on. Hey! There we go. So now we're charging. And there's no smoke. Okay, now that I know which wire it is, I can take that little clip off there. We don't need that. That's just a jump wire. So I've got the right one into the alternator. So now I've just got to work out which one of these two out of this plug is from the ignition. So I'll just stick the multimeter on these and then go and turn the key on and off and see which one gives me power. So let's try that. Okay, now that all the electrical stuff's done, the thermofan, the winch, and now the alternator is all connected, and I've got the Anderson plugs so I can put a big ass winch. I'll show you this winch in a minute. And so there on the front and the rear, I've made the adapters, I've made jumper cables, I've done all that electrical stuff. So I've got to put the ply on the floor of the tray. I haven't cut it to size, so I've just got to fiddle with that. Do a couple of cuts, a couple of screws, just decking screws, don't have to be fancy. And then I want to check these front brakes. I'm pretty sure one of them's dragging, so I'll have to take the caliper off and see if I can free the piston up a bit so it doesn't sort of jam, so it actually has movement, and the seals pull it back. It's probably just dirt. If it's not, I'm going to get another seal kit for it, and that'll be an extra day or so. But anyway, I'll whoop this tray on and we'll get into it. Okay, I've got the old Trilux all the way back into the shed here so I can work on the front. Now, if you ever want to do a bit of a lift on your old Triton, I think they call them a Monty-Max in other countries, Mitsubishi L300. Anyway, because it's got torsion bar independent front, see the jack isn't touched it there, I'm going to do some measurements. I'll probably just measure off the front here, I don't know, just to see how much height I've gained. Because I know if you look at where the bump stops are, like there's a bit of room in between there, that's so I could actually go up probably, I don't know, 25 mil at that point. So there's a bit of room to move, so I can get probably 20, 25 mil, maybe 30 mil of overall height. Anyway, so that's part of it, and then I'm going to work out why this wheel is not turning so well. Well, it turns, but under protest. Jack up my car is the first thing, apparently. That's what you got to do. So jack up my car, and then take this wheel off and put some jack stands under it, and then start trying to get the torsion bars tightened up. Because that's all it is just torsion bar. There's no coil springs or anything in the front. Just tighten up the torsion bar and away you go. And then we got a bit more height, because it does look like it's got a bit of a rake forward. I don't know why, just the way it is, I guess. Anyway, I'll get into it, eh? So on this side we've got about 720. On the other side, that's 717. So let's wind her up, see what happens, eh? Okay, we're up on jack stands, and this wheel turns freely. Yep, not very freely. Anyway, I'll Do torsion bars first, but yeah, that's just to let you know what dramas I got. Anyway, let's have a quick look underneath. Put a light on. Roll under here. Hopefully my camera can pick this up. Okay, we'll start down here. So, where are we? So that is where it connects onto the lower control arm. Those who've never seen torsion bar suspension before, lower control arm, torsion bar, comes all the way back through here, comes through here, it's quite a long bar, then it goes to here. And I'll just put some more light on here. And if we do up these bolts, it like acts as a lever, and it tightens it up. So it pushes leverage against the lower control arms. So, but it's got a long bolt at the top. If I can show you. There's the long bolt there. So it could be a fair way wound up already. The only other way to improve that, to give me more leverage, is to, at the start where it mounts onto the, what's he there? Onto here, this plate is, and the rod has got a spline on it. So you have to undo the torsion bar completely and then pull this out and then clock it a bit and then put it back in. So then you can get more tension against it. I'm going to try first just doing it up. Just do up this bolt here and see how far I go. Don't know how far we're going to get, but because it might nearly be already bottomed out, I only want. So we'll see where it goes anyway. The funny thing is this one is done up further than this one. I would have thought the driver's side would have been a bit tighter than the passenger side, but anyway, maybe someone's had a go at it before and just thought, oh yeah, we'll just add a bit in here. No, it's not like that. But anyway, I'll fiddle, enough rambling, and I might have to put a bit of spray on those bolts and see if it'll help me get them undone. I won't try and film it all, it's a bit cramped under here, so I will see how I go and see if I can get some more tension. Like at the moment the wheels are just off the ground. See if I can get a little bit more height out of it. So when I lower it down, I'll measure the front and go from there. Anyway, I'll keep going and catch you up in a minute. Okay, there's the torsion bars all tightened up. I've screwed them right up till they ran out of thread on both sides. And I would have thought I've got more than 20 to 30 mil just in travel like there alone. So we should be right there. That should give us like, I don't know, maybe 50 out at the wheel. So anyway, I've put a heap of anti-seize on the threads and everything. They come off relatively easy. I wasn't too worried about them. But anyway, let's get this front brake thing happening and we'll be away. Okay, here we are at the front wheel. Yeah, it don't turn by hand. Even with the wheel on it, you really got to struggle. Now I've taken the bolts off that hold the caliper, and like there they are on the ground there. And yeah, the caliper don't come off. It's she's pretty. Hang on, let me give it a. She's pretty stuck on that rotor, but the wheel was turning when you try and drive, so maybe I just got to lever it, or maybe I might even just undo the bleeder. I don't know if there's pressure, back pressure in there or not. I don't know. I'm just going to try a few things and see if I can get that off. And like there's heaps of meat on the pads. Oh, you probably can't see it. There's a heap of meat on the pads, so they're relatively new brake pads. So I don't want to just keep driving it and hope for the best, because that would waste them. Anyway, I'll keep going and see if I can get it freed up, sort of, and off. It'd be nice to get that caliper off and see if I can tighten it up. It might just be the slides that are a bit stuck. You know, there's two slides on it so that whole caliper moves when there's wear eventually. But anyway, that's just a hope, because both pads on both sides are good, the left and the right, and it shouldn't be the slides. Anyway, I'll keep pulling it apart and see what happens. So I've got the slide on the caliper all freed up. I pulled the bolt and there's a sleeve in there and greased it with the rubber grease, thinking that's probably the best thing for it. And the piston, I pulled the piston, it took a lot to free up. Anyway, so I got it freed up, and a little bit of rubber grease for around the seal and everything, and it seems to go in and out without too much trouble now, so we should be right to put that back on the car, on the piece of crap, on the old Trilux. Anyway, I'll pop it all in and see if it takes much to bleed up. Anyway, I'll get into that. Okay, calipers on. Plenty of free spin, that's what I like to see. Yeah, I've just got to bleed it up. I'll undo these vice grips and bleed it up, and we should be right. Hopefully the piston moves enough-ish. Okay, we're finished the brakes, finished the torsion bars, and now we've just lost power, so no lights. Got to rely on what's outside here, and I'm ready to take it off the jack stand and see what height it sort of sits at. I'm really interested to see. It looks really good at this level, but you know, we're like 30 mil off the ground at the moment, and plus whatever sort of ride it takes up. Anyway, ride height. So we'll drop it off jack stand and have a look. I'll put you guys on the tripod. Okay, we had what, 720 before? Now we got 790. I think that's really good. And 785. So we've grabbed what, 2060 mil, nearly 3 inches, 2.5. But that hadn't sort of settled, so we should even give it a bit of a test drive. Test out the tip apart, put some junk in it, and go from there. Okay, so I've got the whole list completely done, even some extra bits that I didn't think I was going to get to do. So, but then all of a sudden this turns up, the thermostat housing. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll just put it here. I'll just leave it there. Anyway, I'll start loading her up with something, go for a drive around the place, see what happens. Yeah, so this is the big ass winch that I've got, and I've made it into a hitch receiver style configuration, so I'll be able to use it for not just the tractor, which I initially made it suit, the tow bar and the Anderson plug at the rear. I'm able to mount it quite easily onto the back tow bar, and it's just such a versatile bit of gear. Like, there's so many things that you can do and recover and lift and pull and repair, and I just find that it's just an extra little tool in your toolbox to be able to do all sorts of things. I put it in the front receiver here, and it certainly does the job. The wire feeds through the radiator support, and then you can clip it on so the bonnet can still be shut, so you can pull something from the front. Yeah, it looks a little bit long, like it's hanging out there. It's not like you would leave it on there all the time. It's just for like a rescue sort of recovery type sort of thing if you need to. Yeah, well, is it a shitbox? Yeah. Does it drive really rough? Yeah. Does it have a tipper function? Yeah. Can it tip out lots of dirt rather than shoveling shit? Oh yeah. Yep, does that. Is it a semi-capable four-wheel drive? Yeah, I think so. It's pretty good. Just shame it looks like a piece of shit. Anyway, I think that's it. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing, and you'll see all sorts of weird and dumb shit like this. There is more videos coming out on the Brumby soon, so stick around for those. And if you don't know what that is, I'll leave a link below for the series for the Brumby build, and also a link for the shipping container build. There's plenty going on, and I've also got a little bit of Jeep action going on. About to do a bit more work on some Jeeps. But anyway, guys, we'll catch you on the next one, eh? See ya.